Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Sporting President Joe Benkoff, distinguished members of the government and parliament, Chief Rabbi of Norway, Bishop of Oslo, Excellencies, my sister Hilda, and of course my wife, and my son. According to the Jewish tradition, there are moments when one must make a blessing, give a benediction. This is such a moment. With your permission, Your Majesty, I would like to say that blessing. Baruch Shechianu, Vekimanu Vegianu Lazman Hazeh. Thank you, O Lord, for giving us this day. Cher Daniel, Jacques, Amis de France, friends from the United States, friends from Norway, and above all, my very dear Egil Orvik. How can I thank you for the depth of your eloquence, for the generosity of the gesture coming from you and your colleagues? How can I thank you for building bridges between generations, words, ideas, names, and people? How can I thank you all for helping humanity make peace as its most urgent, as its most noble aspiration? For this is what you are doing, and there is nothing that is worthier of our respect and our affection for you. I am moved, deeply moved, by your meaningful and warm words, Chairman Orvik. And it is with a profound sense of humility that I accept the honor, the highest there is, that you have chosen to bestow upon me. I know your choice transcends my person. Do I have the right to represent the multitudes who have perished, of whom you have spoken? Do I have the right to accept this great honor on their behalf? Does anyone? I do not. No one may speak for the dead. No one may interpret their mutilated dreams and visions. And yet, at moments such as this, at all moments, I sense their presence. I always do. The presence of my parents, that of my little sister. How can one not sense the presence of those that were part of you, friends, teachers, companions? But this honor belongs to those who remember them. This honor belongs to all the survivors, to their children, and through us, to the Jewish people, with whose destiny I have always identified. I remember. It happened yesterday or eternities ago, a young Jewish boy discovered the kingdom of night. I remember his bewilderment. I remember his anguish. It all happened so fast. The ghetto, the decrees, the persecutions, the deportation, the sealed cattle car, the fiery altar upon which the history of my people and the future of mankind were meant to be sacrificed. I remember that young boy asked his father, "Tell me," he said, "can this be true? This is the 20th century after all. This is not the Middle Ages. Who would allow such crimes to be committed? And how could the world remain silent?" And now that very boy is turning to me. "Tell me," he says, "what have you done with my years? What have you done with your life, which is mine?" And then I tell him that I have tried to keep memory alive, that I have tried to fight those who forget, because as you have said, if we forget, we are guilty, we are accomplices, we could not prevent their death the first time. But if we forget them, they will be killed the second time, and this time it will be our responsibility. So I also explained to that boy who was asking me questions how naive he was, how naive we all were. The world did know and remained silent. And that is why I swore never to be silent whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must speak. We must take sides. For neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant. Wherever men or women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. Of course, since I am a Jew profoundly rooted in my people's memory and tradition, my first response is to Jewish fears, Jewish needs, Jewish crises. For I belong to a traumatized generation, one that experienced the abandonment and solitude of my people. It would be unnatural for me not to make Jewish priorities my own. It would be unnatural for me not to love Israel with all my heart as I do. Please remember what I remember. Israel, if God forbid defeated, it would be the end of Israel. The only country in the world which is so endangered, totally in its existence. How can we, people such as myself, not think in these terms? But I am also, of course, committed to Soviet Jews who need freedom, and Jews in Arab lands who need solidarity. But I said that Jewish priorities are my first priorities. They are not exclusive. Others are important to me, other people, other ideas, other situations, other tragedies matter to me. Believe me that apartheid is, in my view, as abhorrent as anti-Semitism. To me, Andrei Sakharov's isolation is as much of a disgrace as Yosef Biegun's imprisonment and Idan Nudel's exile, as is the denial of solidarity and its leader Lech Walesa's right to dissent, and Nelson Mandela's interminable imprisonment. There is so much injustice and suffering crying out for our attention. Victims of hunger, of racism, and political persecution. Certain fascist regimes, like in Chile, or Marxist regime, like in Ethiopia and in other places of the world, where writers and poets are prisoners. And there are so many prisoners in so many lands, by the left, by the extreme left, and by the right, the extreme right. Now, you know, as I do, that human rights are being violated on every continent. More people are oppressed than free. How can one not be sensitive to their plight? Human suffering anywhere concerns men and women everywhere. And in spite of what some extreme critics have said about me, that principle applies in my life also to the Palestinians, to whose plight I am sensitive, but whose methods I deplore when they lead to violence. Violence is not the answer. Terrorism is the most dangerous of answers. I know they are frustrated, and that is understandable, and something must be done about it. The refugees in the refugee camps and their misery, the children and their fear, the uprooted and their hopelessness, I know. Something must be done about their situation. I know that too. Both the Jewish people and the Palestinian people have lost too many sons and shed too much blood. This must stop. And all attempts to stop it must be encouraged peacefully. Israel will cooperate. I am sure of that. I trust Israel, for I have faith in the Jewish people. Let Israel be given a chance. Let hatred and danger be removed from her horizons, and there will be peace in and around the Holy Land. Yes, I have faith. I have faith in God, in the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. I even have faith in his creation. Without faith, no action would be possible, and action is the only remedy to indifference. Indifference, the most insidious danger and disease of all. Isn't this the meaning of Alfred Nobel's legacy? Wasn't his fear of war a shield against war? There is so much to be done, and there is much that can be done. I have learned it in my life. One person, a Raoul Wallenberg, for instance, an Albert Schweitzer, a Martin Luther King, one person of integrity, of courage, can make a difference of life and death. And therefore I know that as long as one dissident is in prison, our freedom will not be true. As long as one child is hungry, our lives will be filled with anguish and shame, for I have seen children hungry. What all these victims need, above all, is to know that they are not alone, that we are not forgetting them, that when their voices are stifled, we shall lend them ours, that while their freedom depends on ours, the quality of our freedom depends on theirs. So this is what I say to the young Jewish boy wondering what I have done with his years. It is in his name that I speak to you, and that I express to you my deepest gratitude. You should know that no one is capable of gratitude as one who has emerged from that kingdom of night. We know that every moment is a moment of grace. Every hour is an offering. And not to share them would mean to betray them and mean not to be worthy of them. Our lives no longer belong to us, no longer belong to us alone. They belong to all those who need us desperately. And therefore I say thank you, Chairman Egil Aarvik, and thank you, the very distinguished members of the Nobel Committee. And thank you, people of Norway. Thank you, people of Norway, for declaring on this singular occasion that our survival has meaning for mankind.